After 3 rounds in 3 different provinces, the 2012 South African Rally Championship now visits its 4th province, the Eastern Cape. This is the 30th running of the popular Volkswagen Rally, and not only is it called the Volkswagen Rally, but it quite literally takes place in the backyard of the automotive giant. The ceremonial started in front of the popular Volkswagen Pavilion in Uitenhage, after which the crews will tackle a number of stages in the feared Longmoor Forest, around 50 kilometers west of Port Elizabeth. The Longmoor is renowned for separating the men from the boys, as the roads are not only super fast, but also have huge drops on the side of the mountain that are too close for comfort. The 2-day event will also visit the Gamtoos Valley, as well as provide spectators with a chance to get up close and personal with their heroes on the tarmac at Kings Beach, where the event will end on Saturday afternoon. But there was one more problem to worry about. Torrential rain and cold weather was predicted for the entire weekend, and for once, the weather forecast proved to be more than just accurate. At the start here in Uitenhage, the rain clouds were already threatening. But out in the Longmoor Forest, the normally beautiful and smooth gravel roads had already been turned into a mud bath. After not scoring many points in Gauteng, Mark Cornier still leads the points table, but by a fraction.
It's still early stages in the season, and as you know, rallying has got a horrible sting in the tail. Being first on the road was a bit tricky for us, and we unfortunately had the misfortune of breaking a wheel.
Johnny Gemmell is within 3 points of the championship lead, and now is as good a time as any to try and make his move.
You're only 3 points behind, like you say, and nice roads out here, some of the best roads in the country.
After winning round 3, John Williams is now also within striking distance, but he'll have to overcome Gemmell, as well as his own teammate Cronje.
We're in a good position for the championship, and we want to try and obviously hang in there. I think the pressure's on them to sort of win, and for us we'll just see what they do.
Had it not been for an inexplicable puncture on the previous round, 6 times national champion Jan Habig would have been just 1 point from the top of the championship points table.
These kind of things happen in rallying, and I think we'll just tackle this event, get maximum points.
Dutchman Hans Weiss has impressed friend and foe with his speed on foreign soil, but will start the Volkswagen Rally with the added pressure of driving a Volkswagen on its own event.
We want to have a good result for sure. This would be our first time with S2000 on wet conditions, so we have to see the first stage how it's going.
6th in the championship is a good position for Cape Townian JP Damso.
We all would love to improve on that, but the competition, you know, is tight there, and to get into the top 10 is difficult.
And following a series of punctures on both rounds 2 and 3, Habig's teammate Charles Wilkin finds himself down in 7th.
Yeah, see, this rally looks awesome. The roads are super smooth, and it could be a good one, but the weather's changed a bit, and it's going to be difficult to judge the speed to drive it.
In only his first season behind the wheel of an S2000 machine, Gugu Zulu is doing well to occupy 8th and leading the new for 2012 class S2000 challenge. A fine second position on round 3 sees Hein Latergan move into the top 10, a position that he would clearly love to improve on here in the Eastern Cape.
I think this event will be tricky now with the rain, so hopefully the experience will help you to get through it and get a good result.
And despite having his fair share of bad luck so far in 2012, Mohamed Musa still holds on to 10th in the overall title chase. Toyota's Leroy Polter will also be keen to get his 2012 season back on track.
We've just had a lot of bad luck, and it started off from race 1 with the car burning, and it just seemed to have carried on throughout the event. So I really need to turn it around.
Besides Polter, a number of really big names remain ominously missing from the points table. Both former champions Enzo Kuhn and Hergen Fecken find themselves outside the top 10, but this is the Volkswagen Rally.
I think the results up to now have been slightly unfamiliar, and there are good reasons for that. We're in a new car, we're trying to develop this vehicle to a competitive stage. The good news is that we're getting there.
Yeah, look, it wasn't a good start to the year, but we're fairly confident that the car has now been sorted. The guys work hard. I'm sure it will be reliable in this one, so we give it a good go on our home rally.
Big news from the Volkswagen Rally is that former Dakar Rally winner Geniel de Villiers returns to rallying, but this time behind the wheel of a Toyota, ironically at his previous employer's event.
Yeah, I must say it's quite exciting. You know, I've been out of action now for the first part of the year, and thanks to Imperial and Toyota and to Red Bull, I'm able to make sort of a comeback now.
It's finally time to leave the comfort of the VW Auto Pavilion behind and to venture into the unknown. Championship points leader Marc Grenier is the first to be waved off by Volkswagen Managing Director David Powles, followed by the two Toyotas of Johnny Gemmell and Leroy Poulter. Adam second is the first of the local BP Volkswagens to lead for the long wall, ahead of the two Basil Reed Fiestas of Jan Habig and Charles Wilkin. Stage 1, or Melon, is only 10 kilometers long. It's a beautiful piece of gravel road that was last used in the early 90s, but the heavy rains have turned it into a tough test of driving skill on waterlogged and slippery muddy roads.
Into 2012 Volkswagen Rally action gets underway with Marc Grenier and Robin Houghton the first ones to venture into the unknown. First on the road is always tricky, as you simply have no lines or brake markers to follow, but Grenier isn't leading the championship for no reason. This Sassel Ford Fiesta driver survives stage 1, but he wasn't thrilled by the conditions or his performance.
It's extremely difficult. We're sliding all over the show, so I think it's the same for everybody, but it's, I think we might have taken it a bit too easy there.
Arch rivals Johnny Gemmell and Callan Swan are the next ones into stage 1. The benchmark time so far set by Grenier was 7 minutes and 59 seconds, but halfway through the stage it was clear that Gemmell was much faster. The Castrol Toyota Auris crossed the flying finish in a time of 7 minutes and 33 seconds, a full 26 seconds faster.
Very tricky. I had a little slip off there into the bushes, but it was fine.
Behind Gemmell, Castrol Toyota teammates Leroy Poulter and Alvin Kutsia were the next ones on the road. Poulter is having a tough time of late, but he's a very talented driver, and it showed as he crosses the flying finish just 4 seconds slower than his teammate. And that despite having a problem inside the Toyota Auris.
Yeah, we're just a good stage, but no power steering.
This is the moment that thousands of Volkswagen fans have been waiting for. The new BP Volkswagen Polo's first outing on its home event. Hergen Ficken and Pierre Arries were pushing hard in order not to disappoint. But they are off the road. The former champion recovers and reaches the end, but a time of 8 minutes and 16 seconds means big trouble early on.
We had a big moment and we went off the road. It looks like the other guys also went off there.
This is the 30th Volkswagen Rally, and of those 30, Jan Habig is making his 21st appearance. The legendary driver will have seen conditions like these before, and although this is the first time behind the wheel of his new Basil Reed Ford Fiesta, the 6 times champion and co-driver Robert Paisley blitzed through stage 1 in a time of 7 minutes and 30 seconds, 3 seconds faster than Johnny Gemmell.
And right for in, and left for.
It's quite a hectic stage. It's very, very slippery, very difficult to judge when it's slippery. Then you have grip and so on. Very, very easy to make a mistake.
Charles Wilkin and Greg Godridge and the second Basil Reed Ford Fiesta rolled on stage 1 of this event 12 months ago and picked up punches on both the opening stages of the 2 previous rounds this year. So Wilkin would have been happy to complete stage 1 without any incidents this time round, albeit 25 seconds off the pace.
Taking it slow. Try to get through the first stage for a change,
With one of the Volkswagens already in trouble, all eyes were on Dutch driver Hans Weiss and Belgian co-driver Bjorn de Gant in the second of the BP Polos. Weiss was excited about the prospects of rallying on these beautiful roads, but nothing could prepare the Dutchman for these treacherous conditions, and he too arrived at the flying finish with a problem, and more than a minute lost.
that was not a good one for us. I kept struggling with the wipers and the closed windscreen and totally no turn in of the car, and we got off and we could continue, but it's really bad.
It was now up to Enzo Keane and Guy Hodgson to wave the Volkswagen flag. For some reason, call it irony or Murphy if you want to, the sponsor of an event very rarely succeeds in winning their own event. And it seems like the 2012 Volkswagen Rally would be no different. Keane is normally a master in these conditions, but something inside the BP Polo was holding him back.
On the start line we lost four-wheel drive. I'm not sure if it's an electronic problem or pressure problem or a drive shaft, but we only got two-wheel drive, so it's like driving an old-style rally car.
The confidence levels inside the second of the Sasol Ford Fiestas must have been high following their victory in the previous round. But John Williams is still young and probably not used to such severe conditions. Together with Cobus Frey, the Cape Townians had a scary moment or two on stage one, but still completed the stage with the 8th fastest time.
Everyone was running wide and sort of bouncing off the fence, and when I got there was no more fence, and back of the car slid into the ditch, and we managed to keep it spinning and got out, but yeah, it was a lot more slippery than I thought it would be. Tough.
The Q8 Oils Peugeot 207 of Hein Latergan and Johan van der Merwe was the next car into stage one. Latergan is also fresh from a podium finish on the previous round, and despite having an overshoot, still managed to survive stage one with the 9th fastest time. And what about South Africa's very own Dakar heroes Geniel de Villiers and Ralph Pitchford? The rain and mud of the Longmore Forest is very far removed from the sand and dust of the Atacama Desert. But the Imperial Toyota driver completed his first rally stage of 2012 with the 5th fastest stage time.
Oh, happy, and the car feels good, and we'll see on the next stage.
Behind the first 10 or so cars on the road, a number of very fast drivers still had to contend with these severe conditions. Team Total's Jean-Pierre Damso and Grant Martin set an impressive time of 7 minutes and 35 seconds, less than 4 seconds off Hubby's time and good enough for third. Henk Latergan is just 18 years old, but he's also the son of Hein Latergan. Together with co-driver Barry White, the Q8 Oils Volkswagen Polo driver set the 6th fastest time of all, less than a second ahead of the Monster Energy Ford Fiesta of Sebastian Klaassen and Cindy Harding, who also impressed by setting the 7th fastest time. Young Namibian driver Wilro Dippenaar and Morne de Tooy round off the top 10 behind the wheel of their older generation BZM Toyota.
From Mellon at the edge of the Gamtoos Valley, the crews now have to make their way into the Longmore Forest via Stage 2. The 25 kilometers of PPC will have to be tackled immediately after Stage 1, with no chance to service the cars. And as expected, the conditions got even worse.
And as with stage 1, the burden of venturing into the unknown was once again on the shoulders of Mark Cronje and Robin Houken. Cronje knew that the rally can very easily be lost early on, so the Sasol Ford Fiesta driver opted for a cautious approach as he set a benchmark time of 16 minutes and 14 seconds.
Yeah, so 9 and left 4 in tightens, no cut on exit. Left 4 in tightens, no cut on exit.
Johnny Gemmel and Carolyn Swan need no invitation to take up a fight. The Castrol Toyota driver started stage 2 just 3 seconds off the lead and pushed hard on the 24 kilometers that make up stage 2. Maybe too hard. Gemmel miraculously did not hit anything and still recovered to set a time of 15 minutes and 56 seconds, 18 seconds faster than Cronje. The Castrol Toyotas clearly came to the Eastern Cape to fight for victory, as Leroy Poulter and Alvin Coetzee put the hammer down on stage 2. Poulter mastered the slippery roads of stage 2 and crossed the flying finish in a very quick time of just 15 minutes and 49 seconds, a full 6 seconds faster than his teammate, and that despite picking up a puncture.
Just a puncture at the end, yeah. Just struggling with the power steering a little bit, you know. But other than that, it's survival at the moment.
After losing loads of time on stage 1, the BP Volkswagen Polo of Hergen Vecken and Pierre Aries had it all to do. His Polo was still missing some bodywork, but it didn't stop them from setting the 4th fastest time of all. And after setting the fastest time of all on stage 1, Jan Habig and Robert Paisley were focused on keeping their lead. But the Old Master also knows how to pace himself and finished the tough stage 2 in a time of 15 minutes and 59 seconds. The Basil Reed Ford Fiesta driver drops from first to third, but is still only 3 seconds behind the leaders. Enzo Keane and Guy Hodgson attempted some roadside repairs before starting stage 2, but it did not pay off as they were still stuck with only having drive to the rear wheels of the BP Volkswagen Polo. And rear wheel drive is most definitely not what you want in these conditions.
Over 250.
I have new respect for the rally drivers in the 80s. Driving in these forests with two-wheel drive is running out of lock all the time. It's interesting.
Sadly for hosts Volkswagen, their event was about to go from bad to even worse. The third of the BP Polos, driven by Dutch-speaking Dio Hans Weiss and Bjorn de Gant, arrived at the end of stage 2 with more than 2 minutes lost, and with Weiss eager to locate the problem.
Everything is bent.
It was so easy to make a mistake or to pick up a problem in these conditions, so the second Sassel Ford Fiesta of John Williams and Cobus Frey were cautious to not succumb to the tricky roads. Williams drove well to set the 6th fastest time on stage 2. Behind Williams, the Q8 Oils Peugeot of Hein Lategan and Johan van der Merwe opted for the same approach. Lategan was more than 50 seconds slower than the stage-winning time of Poulter, but still 7th fastest. The team total Toyota orders of JP Damso and Grant Martin were in 3rd position overall after stage 1. Damso is also not one for taking too many risks and took it easy on stage 2. His time was 8th fastest. Just 6 seconds slower than Damso was the older generation BP Polo of Gugu Zulu and Carl Peskin. Zulu is having an excellent year so far, and although he completed stage 2 in 9th position overall, his focus was on winning the Super 2000 Challenge class. Zulu's main rival for Super 2000 Challenge honours is none other than the young Henk Lategan and co-driver Barry White. After stage 2, Lategan Jr. finds himself just 0.3 seconds behind Zulu, so the fight for S2000 Challenge was a close one.
These are right 5 and the left 4 and up.
After 2 of the toughest and wettest stages we've seen in many years, it's the Castrol Toyota of Leroy Poulter and Johnny Gemmell who find themselves at the top of the leaderboard. But the Old Master Jan Habig is just a few seconds behind. Championship leader Mark Fournier is in 4th, ahead of Sassol Ford teammate John Williams and the Toyota of JP Damso. Harken Fecken is the leading Volkswagen, but down in 7th, while Lategan, Zulu and Lategan Jr. round off the top 10. The 30th running of the Volkswagen Rally suffered from severe weather conditions, making the going more than tough. Will the Toyotas hang on to their early lead, or will Habig come out on top? And how far up the leaderboard can the Volkswagens climb after their early setbacks? Join us. It is still the first day of a very cold and very wet Volkswagen Rally. Survival rather than out-and-out speed has become the name of the game. Team Total Toyota's Mohamed Musa was committed and giving his all as always. But the Tanin driver once again ran into trouble early on.
A small little rock, I mean, that size, stuck between the rim and the caliper. Wheel refused to turn, broke the side shaft. We sorted out and drove the stage now, 2-wheel drive and no rear brake, so that wasn't fun.
This is the Volkswagen Rally, which obviously creates high expectations for the hosts. But rallying is a cruel sport, and so far it's not been the start that Volkswagen wanted.
We seem to be continuously losing four-wheel drive, so we're back on two-wheel drive. It's quite challenging, scary at times.
Leroy Poulter is leading the event, but teammate Johnny Gemmell is only 2.6 seconds behind. And it will be silly to not bet any money on 6 times champion and former Volkswagen Rally winner Jan Habig to once again be fighting for the lead.
It is a bit nerve-wracking, but the guys are all pushing very hard. The conditions are very tough. It's very easy to make a mistake and lose lots of time.
Stage 3, or Sink Dump, is normally a high-speed affair up and down one of the mountains of the Longwall Forest. But the rain and muddy roads will force the drivers to be a little more cautious than normal. But if you take it too easy on the 20 kilometers of Sink Dump, you can lose loads of time. The line between staying on the road and not losing too much time is a very fine one.
Gugu Zulu and Carl Peskin in the BP Polo were locked in battle with a similar Q8 oils machine of young Henk Lateghan and Barry White. Their battle was not only for Super 2000 Challenge honours, but also for a position in the overall top 10. On stage 3, Zulu beat his young rival by 4 seconds. Ergen Fekken and Pierre Aries were now on the comeback trail following their earlier setbacks in the BP Polo. The former champions set the 9th fastest time on Sinkdam. Geniel de Villiers and Ralph Pitchford were also still finding their feet behind the wheel of the Imperial Toyota Auris. De Villiers has his sights set on winning next year's edition of the Dakar Rally and will use the remainder of this season to sharpen his skills on South African soil. They set the 8th fastest time while also moving into the top 10 overall. John Williams and Kobus Frey are now real contenders to not only win rallies but also the championship. The Sassel 4 driver did not take any risks on Sinkdam to set the 7th fastest time, but more importantly to hang on to his 5th position overall. But Williams will have his work cut out to fend off the challenge from the Q8 Oils Peugeot of Hein Lateghan and Johan van der Merwe. Lateghan started stage 3 in 8th position overall, but gained 2 full positions by setting the 6th fastest time. Enzo Keen and Guy Hodgson were way down on the overall standings, but the Volkswagen technicians managed to restore drive to all 4 wheels of his BP Ultimate Polo. The former champion was now on a charge back up the leaderboard and set the 5th fastest time of all on stage 3. Leroy Poulter and Alvin Coetzee were happy to be in contention once again. The Castrol Toyota driver took the overall lead on the previous stage, but a slow time according to his high standards on stage 3 saw him drop from 1st to 3rd on the overall standings. Championship leaders Mark Ronier and Robin Houghton were probably not satisfied with their 4th position overall, but on stage 3 the Sassel Fiesta driver opened up the taps and set the 3rd fastest time of all. It did little to the overall standings though, as Ronier was still in 4th.
Long left 2, tightens to 7, no cut.
Medium right hand.
With Poulter setting a somewhat slow time, the door was open for both Jan Habig and Robert Paisley, as well as Johnny Gemmel and Callan Swan, to try and take over the lead. The Basil Reed Ford Fiesta of Habig managed to beat Poulter's time by a full 7 seconds to overtake the Toyota driver on the leaderboard. But it was the second Castrol Toyota of Gemmel who chose Sinkdam as the stage to make his move. Gemmel simply didn't seem to be fazed by the tough and wet conditions and raced down the mountain to take the stage victory by a full 10 seconds from Habig and to move into the overall lead.
Medium left on.
Gemmel's mind-blowing performance on stage 3 moves him to the top of the leaderboard, now a full 10 seconds ahead of the charging Jan Habig. Poulter drops from 1st to 3rd, but is still within striking distance, while a further 42 seconds separates him from Cronje in 4th. Williams is still 5th, ahead of Lateghan, who gained a few positions, while Damso drops from 6th to 8th. The name de Villiers appears on the leaderboard ahead of Gugu Zulu, who rounds off the top 10. The heavy rain has finally taken its toll, not only on the drivers but also on the stages, as stage 4 in and around the Port Elizabeth Oval Track Raceway was deemed impassable and had to be cancelled. Gravel road racing for the day was now a thing of the past, which gave the drivers a chance to reflect on a tough day 1. Mark Ronier was not leading, but not too unhappy about his current 4th position.
I think it's still a long way to go, so we need to work on our setup and understand the car a bit better and push a little bit harder tomorrow.
Leroy Poulter dropped 2 positions, but was still just 15 seconds off the lead.
I think it's tough out there. I think any slip up, I think it will be over, but it's close.
The Volkswagen Rally has now become a 2-horse race between Johnny Gemmel and Jan Habig. So what will it take to win?
You're going to need quite a bit of luck on this event. The water is definitely playing a part in terms of making the conditions slippery.
A fantastic time by Gemmel sees him in the lead of the Volkswagen Rally.
Yeah, no, this last time we also had a go and it worked out quite nicely, so I think we're just in the lead now.
Gravel road, or is that mud road racing for day 1, is now behind them. But the action is far from over. Stage 5 is a super special stage at the Winterhoek on the outskirts of Uitenhage.